know that if Shirley were around, Shirley would be in Ferguson. And as Zenga just mentioned, they wanted me to kind of think about, or have us think about collectively, what Ferguson needs in this moment. There's been a lot of talk about, is Ferguson a movement or is Ferguson a moment? And the simple answer is, Ferguson is what you will allow it to become. I hate that question, which has become a kind of popular media talking point. Is Ferguson a movement or is it a moment? Well, that question is faulty in that it attempts to kind of displace responsibility into someone else's hands, as opposed to keeping the responsibility squarely in your own hands, right? If you allow Ferguson to become a movement, it will become a movement. If you allow Ferguson to just be a moment, it will just be a moment. But what we have to understand is that what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, in terms of the actual event, the killing of an unarmed teenager, is actually symbolizes or is linked to 4 broader historical phenomena that are unfolding right before our eyes. So what do I mean by that? Number 1, we have to understand that Ferguson, what happened in Ferguson, is a direct byproduct of the prison industrial complex. It's as simple as that. What I mean by that is this. The prison industrial complex has never been about simply who is in prison. It is about how the state imagines certain bodies as being vulnerable to constant surveillance and policing. And that is exactly what happened to Michael Brown. We also have to understand another kind of historical narrative here. Over the course of the past 30 years, we have witnessed, on the one hand, the rise of the prison industrial complex in the United States, meaning that the United States now incarcerates more human beings than any nation on the globe. Fact. At the same time that this is happening, we're also witnessing the rise, the continued increase of the American empire and America's imperial occupational presence in various brown territories around the globe, whether it be Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. Well, how is this related? Well, one of the side effects of these 2 historical phenomena happening at the same time is that we are witnessing the increasing militarization of police departments across the country. Police officers are being trained to essentially think of themselves as soldiers. And police departments across the country are entering into inner city communities like soldiers enter a battlefield, which is exactly what happened in terms of not only Michael Brown, but if we think back to the conversation about Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman's sort of defense, even though he never, of course, went on the stand, he strategically put Trayvon Martin on trial, essentially. But if we heard bits and pieces of his story. And if we think about George Zimmerman's position, right, that he essentially saw an unarmed black teenager and he thought it was his ethical obligation to stop, frisk, and pursue this teenager to the death. That is sort of a playbook from police culture. And so what I'm getting at here is that we can't talk about what's going on in Ferguson without understanding how it is a direct byproduct of the prison industrial complex.